When clients tell me their reps need work on closing techniques, I begin worrying, since it's typically indicative of a much larger problem. I'll tell you what that is, why we should get rid of the word close, and what to do instead to actually get more sales. Stay tuned. There's a lot of bad information regarding sales and closing techniques. When a sales manager tells me his reps need work on closing techniques, I compare that to a track and field coach saying that his runners need work on techniques for crossing the finish line. Crazy, right? What's most important is that we do everything that it takes to get to and win at the finish line. Plus, closing implies an end. What you really want instead is to open successfully and then get constant movement toward an objective, regardless of how many calls it takes. This movement happens when your prospect or customers commit to doing something between now and the next call. You've probably heard the ridiculous sales phrase, always be closing, ABC, right? No, you should not always be closing. A football team doesn't always throw the long bomb every time it gets the ball at its own 20-yard line. A man doesn't ask a woman to marry him in the first few minutes of the first date. Neither one's a high percentage play, right? And just like on sales calls, to achieve the objective that we want, we need to move forward, enjoying little successes along the way. The momentum builds, and then the ultimate commitment is much easier since we've traveled closer to the objective. Therefore, the close shouldn't be a major part of the call. It's the validation of what's been covered so far. If you want to close, or let's say win more sales, instead work on every step of the sales process to the point where you've moved them to the 1-yard line, where now it's a high percentage play to simply run the ball in. And forget about memorizing slick closing techniques. Prospects are immediately turned off by them. So if I could show you a way how you could increase your sales, cut your costs, and be happier, of course you would say yes today, wouldn't you? Even though I haven't told you what it is. Instead, work on your attitude and preparation. Script out several go-to commitment questions for the various situations in your sales cycle that will move the prospect to the next step. Practice them and become smooth so they sound totally natural. Then get out of your comfort zone regarding asking. Ask more, ask larger, and you're going to sell more. It's this simple. If you have an asking attitude, you're going to do it. If you're shy about asking, you're going to miss out, maybe even lose your job. Don't let that happen. Here are some simple examples of commitment questions for different types of situations that you might run into. When you're setting up the next conversation, be sure there's a commitment. For example, what will happen between now and our next contact? So you're going to survey your staff and get their input on what features they'd like to see, and you'll have that information by our next call, correct? If you're sending out a sample or proposal, get a commitment. If you like what you see in the sample, will you be moving forward? If the proposal contains all of the items we discussed, will you approve it and go with our plan? When they need to speak with someone else about your offer, you might say, if you had to make this decision on your own, would you choose us? Are you comfortable taking this to the committee with your recommendation that you go with our offer? And when you have moved them to the finish line, now it's time to cross it. Shall we get started? May I sign you up? Can we finalize the paperwork? And even if there's not a fit today, ask for a commitment for the future. Hey, you've got nothing to lose, right? For example, hey, if you do decide to change vendors before my next call, will you call me? The next time you need supplies, would you get them from me? When you send out your next request for proposal, may I be included? To actually win more sales, don't focus on the close. You shouldn't always be closing or worry about goofy closing techniques. Instead, get better at opening, getting commitments, moving forward, and you'll make crossing that finish line so much easier, and you'll do it more often. Hey, if you like what you see here, check out my other videos at theartofsales.com. Sign up so you're notified of new ones and my other sales tips. Please do give a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and leave a comment. Not asking for much, right? Also, in my free ebook of 501 sales tips, there's an entire section on closing and commitment with more examples for you. So get that right now if you don't already have it. The momentum then builds and the ultimate commencement, commitment, right? The momentum then builds and ultimately, every team can run the ball in from the 1 yard line, unless you're the Seattle Seahawks in a Super Bowl a couple years ago. Make sure we don't use that, okay? I don't want the Seattle fans contacting me. You're not going to use that, right? You promise? Pinky swear? Okay? All right, good.